Once again, we're here, Mondays with Matt, sitting with Matt Marchand. Traffic calming and safe streets is what we're talking about. And it is available online at votemarchand.com. You can get your own copy, read it, spend some time going through it. But we're here today to discuss some of the components in this document entitled Love Our Hood, because you have some great ideas for how we can love our hood, and we can be better at that. Certainly we want people to get out to the polls on October 24th, because one of the ways that we can love our hood is to be concerned about traffic. Right. And be concerned about safety, the safety of our kids, the safety of them getting back and forth to school. I live in Ward 4, and I live on a very busy street in Ward 4, and that is a constant concern of how do we keep our streets safe? How do we keep traffic manageable?
Right, it's coming up at the doors, whether it's near a school or in areas where there's no stop sign or traffic calming measures. The speed of cars, the frequency of the speeding of cars is coming up at the door. We need some method of traffic calming. As I said, it's becoming almost like dangerous with some kids hit at Gladstone and Richmond. You know, we've spoken to some of the neighbors there about it. It's coming up in different pockets of the ward as an important issue for us to address in the new council. And if I'm fortunate enough to be elected, of course, it's something we're going to drill into in December.
And you're going out and speaking to people door to door. You're getting to talk to people that are in these neighborhoods within your ward. What are some of the things that they're concerns about traffic?
Well, the issue for a lot of them is the speed through residential areas. Oftentimes, people are cutting through residential areas to get to a larger main artery street, and that whole cut through is becoming very much a problem.
You're listening to what people are saying, and you're incorporating into what you're putting together and the ideas that are coming forth.
Absolutely. All of our platforms are based upon our listening to the residents of Ward 4. So that's why it's very responsive, very reflective of the community's desire. In this case, we're talking about safe streets, speeding, the fact that people have to put lawn signs that say, please slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
And you have to respond to that, right? So
if you see those signs, you know that obviously this is a real problem, and the residents are very concerned about it.
Exactly.
Because they're putting them up.
Exactly. You see more and more neighborhoods throughout the world saying, please slow down. And so our campaign, to that point, we looked at ideas of traffic calming in different cities, from Guelph to a lot of other places. Guelph's got some interesting ideas. They're sort of a leader in many respects. I've visited there many times. It's a very outdoorsy, bike-related community, and they've got some interesting ideas for traffic calming, whether it's sort of larger roundabouts in neighborhoods, the yellow bollards. They have all sorts of interesting ideas. They have these little traffic humps, which is one of our more than 10 ideas in our report. And these are all things designed, of course, to funnel traffic on the busier streets, where it should be, of course, to do the speed limit and all that sort of thing. But in neighborhoods, it's important that speed be slowed down. Kids playing, and it's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I have quite a few good friends in Guelph, and they've made that a focus to keep the streets safe. Keep the streets safe for people walking. Keep the streets safe for the kids going to school, and keeping the streets safe for cyclists. Now, I know you're an avid cyclist. You like to ride a bike.
Yeah, I've done a couple of triathlons. I did a couple before the pandemic. I plan on going back to it after the pandemic, because it seems to be we're in the latter stage of it.
Sure. Yeah. How do you prepare for a triathlon?
It's a lot of work. It's a combination of a lot of running and biking. The swim was had to get that going.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you train for that? You do a lot of bike riding. And I found at the beginning of my training a couple years ago, it wasn't a very safe, comfortable to do where I live, in Walkerville, over distance, right?
Okay.
You can find spots to do it for, some distance, but, there's very limited protected bike lanes, if any, depending on how you describe protected. There's not that place where you can, ride at a great distance. We've made some improvements. I think the waterfront trail's good, and, we got some improvements there, but we'll be talking about the protected bike lanes, in a future series.
Absolutely. On another Monday with Matt.
On another Monday with Matt.
Good. Excellent. We'll dedicate one to that.
Yeah, to
Absolutely.
that, and the importance of having that option for people to do things. But back to on the traffic.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
When, you're knocking on doors, and as you're talking to someone, a car is speeding by, and they say, see, is exactly, and you sort of get that, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at ways to get traffic to respect the fact that you're in residential areas, and that by slowing down, the odds of something bad happening decline dramatically. Again, it gets back to something we talked about before, the police and first responders.
Yep.
Get those calls for service down, let them focus on other things while we take care of what we need to take care of, which is, keeping traffic and our kids safe in schools when they come out, down the street when they're playing. We were all kids once. We were all on the street doing, throwing the ball around, and it's important that cars be respectful of speed in those residential areas.
A couple of things here on the school zones. First is that we can talk about the traffic calming measures, and again, those are inexpensive, can easily implemented. Second thing, of course, is making sure we have enough crossing guards. There was some concern pre-pandemic about the number of crossing guards we had. We're asking for a 30-day review to make sure we have enough crossing guards to keep our kids safe. If there's not enough, we need to get those crossing guards staffed up and at the appropriate intersections to keep kids safe.
I've heard a lot about the Vision Zero policy. How does that incorporate into what you've...
Yeah, I think a lot of what the Vision Council passed, that to their credit, it's an excellent idea, to try and get fatalities down to zero. It's a great goal. And again, by reducing speed in residential areas, the odds of that happening are increased dramatically. Right?
Good.
That's a good thing to have. And also, you want people to know that it's safe, right? Well, I would ride my bike, but, or I would go for a walk, but, to have that conversation, right? So, this is something that we've looked at. We've got some traffic calming ideas that we've put out in our report, and we think it's a great way to engage and deliver, solutions. It's great for residents, to give our concerns, but we have to provide them with ideas and solutions that we can go back to them with and say, hey, we've listened. Here's 2 or 3 good ideas we think could work. We're going to work through City Council to get it done for you.
I like the phrase traffic calming. I'd never heard that before put that way, but it's exactly right. It's getting people to kind of recognize you're driving through a residential area. Take your time. Don't rush.
If you look at, and they put a couple up in Tecumseh recently. They have the roundabout there on Brighton Avenue between Tecumseh and Riverside Drive. They've got the yellow pylons now on Riverside Drive indicating it's a 40 zone out near St. Clair Beach. So it's slowly filtering in, and I think there's opportunities for us to do that. We're introducing two interesting ideas to the community. One's called the continuous sidewalk, and it's really the reverse of what's happening right now. And so instead of the pedestrians stepping down onto the roads, the cars have a natural speed bump and have to drive up to get onto the road. So it's a natural speed bump and also protects the pedestrians as well. So it's really an interesting concept. It's used in Europe as a way to keep pedestrians safe, speeds down. It's a natural speed bump to prevent collisions between automobiles and also prevent people from getting hit by cars. It's very, very interesting. And the second one is a leading pedestrian interval. And on that one, all you do there is you provide when the signal turns, the pedestrians go first. So if there are pedestrians at the corner, they're already into the intersection before the cars have to turn right or left. So that way they can see there's pedestrians walking across the street. Because sometimes when the light turns, the pedestrians move and the car turns at the same time. This prevents that. So it's an interesting idea, I think, that we can use to reduce the serious injuries and so forth.
As we go through these conversations, these Mondays with Matt Marchand, I find that there's a real through line that says, let's see what other people are doing, other cities are doing, other municipalities are doing, and doing successfully. Let's look at the pilot projects. Let's look at the things that have expanded. Let's see what we can learn from what other cities have done, and maybe we can incorporate some of that into what we're doing.
There's always, a case where you can go look at, well, what was their experience? What did they do right? What did they do wrong? How can we build on that? Does it match what our residents are asking for? Is it deliverable? Can we do it here? If we can, great. If we can't, why not? Can we tweak it? What can we add to this?
And customize it for Windsor.
Yeah, and you want to do that. You don't have to reinvent the wheel necessarily. Sometimes you have to build the wheel from time to time, but most often you don't. And if you can get 5 or 10 good examples with data, because we love data, and we want to analyze it, see how it's working. And the data really is that slower traffic leads to better outcomes, particularly in residential areas, right?
Why not look to see what other municipalities are doing, what's worked for them, and see if we can tweak it for
100%. And I think that, and it gets better, right? Because if Community X has done this,
right,
and you say, well, that was great, but if we did this, it may even make that better. Then they tweak it. Then somebody else comes to say to you, hey, that's pretty good, we'll do this. And it sort of goes down the line, right? We talked earlier about in San Diego on the storage lockers and
Right.
all that sort of thing for the homeless problem that we have. 56 cities have visited there, so it's the same thing. Has somebody done this? What was their result? How did they do it? How can we tweak it? What do they do right? What do they do wrong? And then we can implement it here. And these are not costly at all. Like most of these things are not costly. There are some, and I've driven through Guelph, many times, and they've got these speed bumps like this that you got to slow down because your transmission is going to be somewhere else, and your car is going to be somewhere else. So you want to slow down. And they happen. It's on a lot of the small side streets. Can be very effective here. And that's just one of the ideas. And the yellow bollards is another one. Doesn't affect the winter control.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of options out there for us.
Yeah, Guelph is a city. I managed bands in Guelph, so I used to spend a lot of time over the last 25 years, and I've seen the changes from what it was 25 years ago to what it is now. And like I said, if they've got some ideas why not?
Why not? Exactly. Yeah. Why not? So. Again, city council gets credit for the zero policy. I think that's great. We just need to expand that, and again, make our city as livable and safe as we can. And we'll be talking about both those more in the future.
Absolutely, absolutely. So basically, if anybody wants to see and get more information on exactly what we've been talking about, the Love Our Hood approach that you've taken, and the idea of loving our hood, this is all available at votemarchand.com. You can get it, you can download it, you can take some time to go through and see some of the ideas that Matt has, and you can ask us questions. Again, the great place to go, votemarchand.com. Ask questions, see if we can incorporate in what we're doing here.
Yeah, you can use the idea box or the electronic.
Or the virtual, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's many ways to get your ideas to Matt.
Yeah,
absolutely. Matt wants to hear your ideas, so make sure you go online, drop at the idea box at his house, and get us the information we're looking for.
All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much.
Ryan.
Okay, appreciate it.